TJ and Friends Smith System CDL Training School. Yeah, so I'm making this video to help the students identify the parts on the truck. Because most of the time when the DMV talk to them, they talk to them professionally. They don't talk to you. They don't go there and try to babysit you. In fact, don't expect that. Try to go there and you try to go there as a well-grounded somebody that has come to the school and that have gone through all the training. So now, if the DMV tells you that I want you to check the steering component in this truck, you should be able to know what the steering component is. For example, you see that that's a steering shaft, or some people call it steering rod. The steering rod is part of the steering component. The U joints, so these are the U joints because they look like a U. So they join here. These joints called the U joint. So it's part of the steering component, properly greased. And then the power steering box is a power steering gearbox. It's also part of the steering component. Okay? The Pitman arm is part of the steering component because when you turn the steering wheel, it says it moves forward like this. And then there's a drag link. Some people call it the three-piece steering linkage. Pitman arm, drag link, upper control arm. All these are part of the steering component, okay? And then the tie rod down there and the lower control arm. There's a lower control arm down there, down to the tie rod. See, the tie rod is down there, a big rod that ties the two tires. You know, when you turn, it takes the truck back and forth like this. So that's also part of the steering control. The castle knot, these are the three castle knot. Three castle knot. There's one down the tie rod down that tie the lower control arm and the tie rod. And then there's another castle knot here. They are bolted with cutter keys or cutter pin. Some people call it cutter pin. It's also part of the steering component. The power steering fluid reservoir. You understand? It has power steering fluid that goes into the power steering pump. That's the power steering pump. And then they also have another hose that connect from the power steering pump to the power steering box. They are also part of the steering component. So they have to, all these things work with the steering. Okay? So this one, you have to tell the DMV that it's mechanical. That's the power steering pump. That is, it is gear driven. That is, it works with the engine when the engine is running, you know. And then, if the DMV, you understand, ask you to talk about the suspension on this truck, then you have to talk about the leaf spring mount or leaf spring hanger on both sides. You say you have one leaf spring mount in the front and there's another one in the back over there, you know. So the leaf spring mount is there, one in the front and one in the back. So that's part of the suspension. And then you see this? This is the shock and the shock mount. It has a mount on top of it here. You cannot see it clearly, but there's a mount. Some people call it shock absorber mount. Okay, you check it for leaks. So it's part of the steering component. Part of the suspension component. And then the frame of the truck, no illegal welds or holes on it. You also talk about it. That's part of the suspension. And then the U-bolts and the anchor plate. This is called a U-bolt because it looks like a U. You know, U-bolts and the anchor plate. They are part of the suspension. And then the leaf spring, okay? You should not see 25% of crack or cut on the leaf spring. So the leaf spring is also part of the suspension. This one don't have an airbag in the front. Some other truck, they have airbag. If you see airbag here on the front, it's also part of the suspension. So just try to identify the parts in your truck. Now, if the DMV asks you about a brake, say, I just want you to talk about a brake, the brakes, okay? So now, you see the brake chambers. The brake chamber clamp is part of the brake, how do you call it? The brake system, okay? And then you have the push rod that goes inside the brake chamber and the slack adjuster, this thing behind. It's part of it, and the quarter key or quarter pin is also part of the brake system. And then you have the brake hose. You understand? Say detect no leak. The ABS sensors, they all work with your brake. Okay? And then you also have your drum, the brake drum and the brake pad. Make sure you check it for oil or grease buildup. Because the oil or grease normally comes from the hub bearing seal. The hub bearing seal in the front. You already know what the hub bearing seal is. So normally if that seal damaged, it will cause the oil inside of it to leak into the brake pad and the brake drum. That's why you have to check it for oil. Make sure there is no oil buildup on it. Okay. So, and then your brake pad should not be dangerously thin like a penny. And you say, oh, no less than a quarter inch of padding. You have to tell them that. You know, based on the way the truck is parked right now, we cannot see the S cam. You understand? We cannot we cannot see the S cam, and how do you call it? Yeah, we cannot see the S cam. But as I was just trying to show you how the parts are on the truck. I'll need to put the TV on again. Hold on.
Flower Bomb by Victor and Rolf. At Macy's, the fragrance destination.
This one is a commercial. I really don't like them. Why is it behaving like this? Now, let me turn this thing off.